Hello and welcome to the Integrative Health Convention 2019 online interviews. Today we're going to find out more about reproductive reflexology from Barbara Scott, who's speaking at the Integrative Health Convention 2019 on the weekend of the 5th and 6th of October at the Park Plaza, Victoria in central London. So this is Barbara Scott, and she's a reproductive reflexologist and chair of the Association of Reproductive Reflexologists and the author of Reflexology for Fertility. She has a couple of websites and she's going to tell us about them. And one of them is reproductivereflexologist.org. I'll put the links below. And the other one is for training, isn't it, Barbara?
Yes, so the training on my more personal website is Seren, which is S for sugar, EREN, naturalfertility.co.uk. So Seren is the Welsh word for star and the Welsh fertility goddess. So that's how we came to use that word.
Wonderful. So Barbara, thank you for coming.
My absolute pleasure. It's lovely to be here.
Great. So we begin by letting our audience know a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yes, so the majority of my work is teaching, training, lecturing, and running clinics that either help couples, and by that I mean men and women, on their journey to parenthood, or if they have a reproductive condition. So if you have a female with a reproductive condition, something like maybe PCOS or endometriosis, or males with prostate conditions, for example, then we work with them too. But in the majority, what we're doing is we are working with couples who have difficulties conceiving. And of course, sadly, globally, there are huge numbers of these couples. One in 6 couples are having difficulties conceiving. So that is the majority of the work that we are doing, supporting them.
Wonderful. Can you tell me how you got interested in what you do now, and the sort of story behind how you started doing what you do now?
Okay. My background is in something completely different. So whilst at the moment I live in deepest West Wales, I used to work in central London in what would now be called IT. So I have a very sort of analytical, logical approach to life because that was my early training. But when my youngest son was a tiny baby, I was doing some work for the National Childbirth Trust and supporting someone who was training to be a reflexologist. And she used me as one of her case studies. And I thought it was the most extraordinary thing. She was actually telling me things about my body that I hadn't given her the information. And I thought it was quite amazing. So it took me about 3 years to go and do my own training. I thought I needed to know more about this. And once I'd completed my training, the very first client that I saw was someone with repeat miscarriage and fertility issues. So little did I know that my path had been set right from that very early stage of my reflexology career. So as a result of seeing that one particular client, lots of other clients came with a whole range of different issues, and I realized I really didn't know enough. So I started doing lots of research, lots of reading, lots of trying to find out as much as I could to help these clients. And also at the time I was only seeing females, so I very quickly realized that I was missing half the picture. And I was also very lucky to work alongside lots of acupuncturists and homeopaths. And there were some very clear, structured protocols that they were using. And alongside that, I realized that what we could feel in these reproductive reflex points in the feet were being confirmed by ultrasound scans and test results like semen analysis and blood test results for women. Yeah. And so I started to realize that we were able to tell an awful lot about what was going on. And I developed my own structured protocols based on the evidence that I was relying upon. And then in 2008, I'd been looking for years for courses. I couldn't find any. So I put all of the information and my protocols down on paper, and I ran a series of small courses around the UK to see whether anyone else might be interested in my approach. And here we are 10, 11 years later. In 2011, we formed the Association of Reproductive Reflexologists with just 17 practitioners, and we now have over 450 practitioners globally. So in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America, all over Europe and the UK. So that's my journey in a nutshell.
That's amazing. And in October at the Integrative Health Convention at the Park Plaza, you're going to talk about reproductive reflexology.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what it's about and what we'll get out of it?
Okay, so I very much view this reproductive reflexology as actually probably one of the best forms of or examples of integrative medicine. And the reason I say that is because we very much rely on medical testing to help us to make decisions about how to work with our clients, our patients. And so what I like to do is give an overview of how reproductive reflexology works, why it's different, the kinds of pieces of data that we rely upon, the pieces of medical evidence that we rely upon to help us to decide how to treat clients. And then I also like to share our data. So we did a data collection of 180 patients, which showed that we had a 68% success rate in helping couples conceive. But then the additional data that I also like to present is we broke that down into a wide range of differing medical conditions, both male and female, and then were able to extract from that pregnancy rates and live birth rates. So that's really interesting, and it kind of just shows you how effective reflexology can be in terms of supporting couples when they're trying to conceive.
Wow, that's amazing. And I was going to ask about how you thought reproductive reflexology would integrate with, would be part of integrative health, and you've already answered that. Thank you. I have one more question, and that's as a therapist and a teacher with years of experience, what do you think in particular is the key to health and healing in what you do?
I think that it is about being aware of each individual's journey. And I think it is certainly with reproductive medicine, it is about understanding each individual, whether they're male or female, and all of the things that can impact upon their own journey to parenthood. So that can be medical, but it can also be mental, emotional, psychological, physiological, and I think it's we ignore those things at our peril, and relying upon listening to that individual patient, that individual client, and understanding that they also have very strong intuition about what they feel may be the issues affecting them, and I think listening to that journey is really important.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks. We've made this short and sharp. Thank you very much. So thank you for taking the time to listen to this. And thank you, Barbara.
My absolute pleasure. It's lovely to be here.
Great. So remember, everyone, to get your tickets early now from our website by following the links below. We are the Integrative Health Convention at the Park Plaza, Victoria in London on the 5th and 6th of October 2019. You can use the discount code video5, which will give you a 5% discount from us to you as a thank you for spending your time with us today. So when we see you in October in London, you get to meet Barbara, myself, and all our other amazing speakers. So we'll see you then. Thank you.